I'd like to express to Mr. Stevenson my appreciation for his forefathers for sending my forefathers to Australia. So thanks very much for that. And it's been incredibly interesting that we've whipped you at every sport we can possibly find, particularly the last World Cup. I always like to show people, when I do presentations, part of Sydney Harbour. For those who have never been to Sydney, that's a very small part of Sydney Harbour. It also happens to be the view from my office. I just quickly want to tell you that my presentation is going to be more theoretical, because last year I finished an 18-month project where I interviewed every chief in Australia and executive leader in Australia, as well as executive leaders from the UK, US and Europe. And my presentation is based on the findings, because the report became the strategy for the next 5 to 10 years police leadership development in Australia. Basically, quickly, let me tell you about Australian policing. Australia basically has 6 state and 2 territory police agencies, and they're quite large, and collectively they actually own the Australian Institute of Police Management, where I come from. It's actually a registered university, and we provide executive development courses for senior officers in Australasia and Asia. This topic is actually particularly timely for Australian policing. 3 weeks ago in Canberra, the Chief of the Australian Capital Territory Police was heavily criticised in the media for mid-level corruption in her organisation and for the failure to report some sexual assault cases against school children. She was incredibly heavily criticised by everyone imaginable, the media, politicians. At the end of the week, Chief Fagan, who was an incredibly bright, intelligent young woman, took her own life. In words to her family, she said that she couldn't believe she'd been made a political football, which was quite incredible, and that as chief, she felt she had no one to turn to. It was quite an interesting point for her to make. Now also, when I was looking around for this presentation, I thought, well, we're all bosses, we're all executive leaders. What do other people think of us? And just have a look at that. So I'm not sure if that's the case, but whether we're psychopaths or senior executives, but I'm sure. So let me talk to you a little bit about the political environment and from a theoretical point of view what we see as the drivers. And I'd argue that in the past the discretionary role of policing associated with it, our power and authority, has had a